It's a couple days ago. I'm sitting on the couch and trying to relax after a long day's work. And I'm just sitting there playing Xbox. And suddenly the old lady comes in from the back room and says, "Hey, did you hear the news?" And I'm thinking, no, what? You know, what did Trump do or say now? What kind of riots are breaking out? Whatever. No, none of that. They resurrected the direwolf. Yeah, okay. Well, and you would think something like that, that's a bold fucking statement. That's a major thing, right? You'd think that would be enough to get my attention away from Neon Abyss, which, for those of you who aren't familiar, by the way, is a very fun game. If you're ever looking to unwind and not think too hard, you know, you just play this like pixelated character running around a bunch of different dungeons with randomized items and you go blasting things all over the screen. It's a fucking fun game, okay? So it takes a lot to pull me out of that zone. But you would imagine that, you know, something like, hey, they created the first de-extinct species in history. You'd think something like that would be enough to pull me away. I gotta be honest, it wasn't. It wasn't. Because I fucking knew on its face that's a bullshit. That's like, she comes in a room and tells me, "Did you hear they found a chubby little Irish guy at the end of the rainbow?" Well, maybe they did, but it sounds a little far-fetched. So I guarantee you there's some fucking bullshit. But let me look into it once I'm done clearing stage 6, and we'll see. And so already, yes, I'm setting myself up to be that guy. Oh, I'm too smart for this bullshit. And you know what? And that is a common theme, because I've been going at it back and forth in various comment sections across YouTube and fucking Facebook and X, Twitter, whatever the fuck. And there is a comment that I see pop up quite often, usually coming from women, not that should matter. Like, oh, here's one more guy looking to get out there and try to sound smart. Here comes the but actually guy. And it's like, you know, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that but actually. If I'm being honest, I kind of do. I like it. And but it's not to make me sound smart. That's not so much what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in making myself sound smart. I'm more interested in making you feel stupid. Because you should. All right, we need to bring shame back in the world, but that's a whole other conversation that we'll get into some other fucking time. But, you know, y'all should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. ABC News should be ashamed of themselves. Peter Jackson should be ashamed of himself. Everybody who fucking bought this hook, line, and sinker without questioning fuck all should be ashamed. Okay? And, you know, I'll be honest, there's a lot of bias going on here. I felt that just intuitively, without any research, without looking into it at all. I already fucking knew. Now, that's not a major claim. That's just admitting that I have a bias. And then I go out, well, let's see if I'm fucking wrong. But I have been vindicated over the last, I don't know, like I said, 48 hours or so. I really do. You know, because initially I felt like my wife tells me this fucking horse shit. And then I go online and all I see is people fucking eating this shit up. Right? It's on the cover of Time Magazine. ABC News is doing pieces on it. Fucking, you know, motherfuckers are out there on Joe Rogan, and animal experts are out there fucking, yay, hooray, the first time in history, we're never going back, everything's different now, this is great.
Holy crap! For the first time in over 10,000 years, direwolves are alive and walking the earth again. I know how insane that sounds, but Colossal Biosciences has used ancient DNA and groundbreaking gene editing to bring back the first ever de-extinct animal.
And it's all based off a fucking lie. It's all based off of a fucking PR stunt. Now, before I go any further, I do have to say that I'm not trying to undermine the actual achievement, what has actually been done, and we'll get into that in a minute, but this... Even though they did not bring back the direwolf, this is not some fucking de-extinct species as advertised. It's still pretty incredible when you actually look into what this group at Colossal have done. We'll touch on that in a minute. But, you know, I'm going to start from a kind of a different angle. Just to kind of really emphasize why I know for a fucking fact that this was a PR stunt. And even though finally there are like people out there pushing back against this, like New Science Magazine, and there are other, you know, more scientifically minded content creators creating really good informational videos as to why these things are not actually direwolves, and maybe I'll link some of that in the description below. But where I'm going to come from first, just to really fucking drive this point home, how I know it was a PR stunt is one of this fucking dogs is named Khaleesi. And I say dog because it's fucking just as much a dog as it is a direwolf, if not more so. Okay, one of them's named Khaleesi because direwolves, Game of Thrones, right? Okay, fine. Direwolves, Game of Thrones. Why Khaleesi, though? Khaleesi as in Daenerys Targaryen. As in the mother of dragons. As in the character that had fuck all to do with direwolves. Why not Sansa? Why not Arya? Why not Nymeria? Why not Lady? Why not fucking Ghost, for that matter? Why not a fucking character that actually was a direwolf or had some relation to the direwolves? Why? Because Khaleesi, Daenerys Targaryen, is, you know, the most popular character on the show, right there with Jon Snow. I mean, you look at the naming trends from like 2010 to fucking 2019 or whatever, and you saw that fucking name shoot through the roof in terms of its popularity for baby names. And don't even get me started on that bullshit. But that's just right there. That tells me everything I fucking need to know. Khaleesi, George Martin. You're not even trying to be accurate with that. All right. Now, one of their claims is that what they're trying to do, this is important work. They're not just trying to be cool, even though, if you listen to this clip here from Beth Shapiro,
we're making a list of what are the cool animals that are extinct that people would be interested in, and the direwolf comes up.
What are some cool animals that people would be interested in? Boom, direwolf comes to mind. But their mission statement is quite the contrary of that. Right? I think that was more of a faux pas on her part, but their mission statement, or at least part of it, is that they want to correct or right some of the wrongs that have been done by mankind and fill these ecological niches where there are these voids due to, climate change and overhunting and all these things. And so that's part of it. And that's what they want to do with resurrecting the mammoth, which was their initial intent. And that's what they claim they're trying to do with the direwolf. Now, keep that in mind. They're trying to fill a void. They use the analogy of Jenga blocks. Fine. You pull a block out. Well, something's got to go in there. Fine.
As we lose species within an ecosystem, if you think of a Jenga puzzle, you're sort of pulling blocks out of there. Those blocks that are creating the instability in the ecosystem is literally the function that animal plays. If we can find ways to restore animals that provide that specific function, we can create more stability within an ecosystem.
Why are we doing the direwolf, though? The direwolf went extinct over 10,000 years ago, long before carbon emissions were coming out of fucking shit factories in China. Long before fucking humans got to start fucking with the atmosphere. Okay, they didn't go extinct because of human beings. They went extinct because of natural selection, just like the woolly mammoth, just like the Tyrannosaurus Rex, just like the goddamn Triceratops, okay? The climate changes, the environment changes. Life has to adapt. Life forms that can't fucking survive, die out. Now, if you really want to prove to me that you're following your own mission statement here, why not the Tasmanian tiger? The Tasmanian tiger went extinct within our life. There are pictures and there are videos recorded of this fucking beast, the thylacine. Right? This thing didn't go extinct that long ago, and you could argue that, yeah, humans did have something to do with their extinction, overhunting. They fucking got poached out of fucking existence. So if your goal is to correct the wrongs of the past, well, then that's where you fucking start. You got better DNA material to work with. These fuckers haven't been extinct for that long. Right? You don't have to rely on some 70,000-year-old skull and some fucking 13,000-year-old tooth that you pulled out of a fucking tar pit to extract ancient DNA and then try to extrapolate all the missing data, of which most of it is missing, right? You could get better material to work with and more accurately recreate this creature that would actually do what you say your goal is. But no. And why? Here's my thought. Now, I can't prove this, because we have pictures and video of the thylacine. And when they create whatever it is that they're creating, people would be able to look and compare and contrast and say, well, wait, hold on, that don't look like the fucking thing in the video. But you can't do that with a fucking direwolf, because they went extinct just a little before cameras were fucking invented. So who's to say? It looks like a direwolf. That's Beth Shapiro's quote. It looks like a direwolf. It will behave like a direwolf, and it is a direwolf.
That animal looks like a direwolf, it will behave like a direwolf, and it is a direwolf.
Well, how the fuck do you know? You weren't around. Okay? Nobody was. That's just what you're fucking saying. And another argument is, well, they share 99.5% of their DNA with the direwolf. The gray wolf does, that is.
We've taken a gray wolf genome, a gray wolf cell, which is already genetically 99.5% identical to direwolves.
Right? Okay, 99.5%. That sounds, that's a fucking big number. That's almost 100%. Wow, right? And people latch onto that. That's easy to digest. Well, they're 99.5% the same, so all we have to do is make a few small tweaks. Well, here's the thing, though. Let's go back to my point that I just made a minute ago. If it's already 99.5% the same, then why bother at all? Wouldn't it have filled that missing niche by about 99.5%, right? Like, if that number matters so much, then why the fuck are you even doing this? Right? So ask yourself that. Now, here's the other thing. We, as human beings, share about 99% of our DNA with chimpanzees. You wouldn't go into a chimpanzee and carefully edit 14 out of billions of fucking genes to make it, well, let's make it a little less hairy and make it a little bit taller and maybe give it shitty musical taste or something, and then we're going to call that a human. It doesn't fucking work that way, okay? You can't just fucking edit 14 out of billions of fucking genes and then call it a fucking human. You can't edit 14 genes out of a fucking gray wolf and then call it a fucking direwolf. It's the same goddamn thing. Doesn't fucking work that way. And even if, okay, fine, 99.5%, guess what? Not only do we share 99% of our DNA, our genetic information with chimpanzees, we share 50 fucking percent with bananas. I don't think there's anyone out there prepared to make the argument that humans are halfway to a goddamn fruit. Okay? So take that number, wipe your ass with it, and flush it down the toilet. It doesn't really fucking mean anything. Because the genetic information itself is one thing. So let me just give you this analogy, right? Imagine you unearth some ancient fucking blueprint on, let's just say, how to create the direwolf from fucking scratch, right? And it's 1 billion pages long. Literally a fucking billion pages. But because it's been sitting under a fucking tar pit for about, 70,000 years, the majority of those pages are just trash. You can't fucking read them. You can't do anything with them. But maybe you got 100. Out of that billion, you got 100. Which is just a nut hair of a fucking fragment, okay? And then you take that, the information that you do have, and then you utilize AI and modern technology to extrapolate from there to, say, map the entire genome of the direwolf. Now, again, it is impressive that they're even able to come close to doing that, let alone actually do it. But they have not actually mapped the direwolf genome. They have maybe come close. I don't know. Who am I to say? Who are you to say? They have a little tiny bit of information, but you could make the argument that, look, this is how we reconstruct dinosaurs, right? You got a skull here or a fragment there, and then you piece together by extrapolating logically on what these things would have looked like. So fine, fair enough. Let's just give them the benefit of the doubt and say that you have 99.5% recreated the direwolf genome. But again, you have to talk about that 0.5%. And again, even if it was 100%, think of it this way. Take an instruction manual. Step 1 through step 1 billion. And let's say you unearth it. And every page is 100% readable. 100% legible. But the pages are all fucking shuffled up, and there's nothing telling you what is step 1 and what is step 2 and what is step 3. They're all jumbled up, and you don't know what step needs to come first. And there's 1 billion fucking pages. Right? You can try as hard as you might to arrange these pages, but what you're going to wind up with is a very different set of instructions. So, for instance, you take Hamlet, okay? Or The Shining, or any novel that you like. Take your pick. Or fucking twist a book that you got in fucking 3rd grade from your elementary school library. You take these pages, you shuffle them up, and what you wind up with is not Hamlet, is not The Shining, is not some fucking twist your own adventure book. It's some other fucking thing now. Even though 100% of the information is the same, when you rearrange that, now it's a completely different sequence, and it creates a very different function. Okay? So you get my point here? This is why you cannot call this thing a fucking direwolf. And I'm still leaving shit out for the sake of brevity here, because I don't want to rant on for an hour and a goddamn half. And God knows I'm not equipped to get into all the science, CRISPR and fucking molecular scissors and this bullshit, whatever. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm some fucking scientist, but I don't think you need to be, right? And that's the other thing. You know, there's so much of this fallacy of appeal to authority going around. Well, are you a scientist? Do you have a lab coat? No, I fucking don't. But I know how to listen to language and sniff bullshit when I fucking smell it. Okay? Yes, we've been down this fucking road, especially since fucking COVID. Trust the science, trust the science, trust the science. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Look, I'm not going there. Not right now. But I think you get what I mean. You gotta listen to the language. You gotta pick up on it. I mean, I know some of it sounds trivial or trite or whatever. You know, this Game of Thrones shit that I mentioned. But it fucking matters. And when you listen to Beth Shapiro, again, if it looks like a direwolf, it will behave like a direwolf, and it is a direwolf. It's like, where the fuck have you heard that before? I don't know, 10,000 times just this past week. If it looks like a woman, and it acts like a woman, then it is a woman. And we know where we are with that whole fucking thing. So fuck off with all this shit. All right? I guess that's it. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Was there anything else I wanted to clarify? Not sure there is. But yeah, obviously this is not the most scientific take you'll ever hear. But it was a take that I wanted to get out there nonetheless, because this shit fucking bothers me, and it matters to me. Okay? You have some pushback, you have anything else, fine, great. Give it to me in the comments below. Again, I will leave a link in the description to a much smarter guy who will articulate exactly what has happened. I'll leave that in the description as well. Thank God for these people, because obviously I'm not going to be making my case all that well. Anyway, see you later.